Good morning, everybody. Oh, it is recording. Good. Okay. My name is Granny Pam, and I really am Granny Pam. So I have a passion, and anyone who knows me knows that it's a passion. And I love Jesus because he first loved me. And he took me from nowhere, just an ordinary gal. He saved my life, restored my life, healed my life. He transformed my life. Now that's really great. So I have another passion linked to that though, and that is the Word of God. You see, it's magic. I used to think that the Bible was just good morals, good stories, good teachings. But you know, I have discovered a secret. It's so much more than that. It's powerful. It's life transforming. That means life changing for the better. And over the years, I've been a Christian. I don't know, well, probably all of my life. I've loved the Lord since I was a kid, but I committed my life at age 11 to the Lord. And he has kept me through thick and thin. And I mean, I've been held at gunpoint. I've been abandoned by my family, rejected by my family, cruel things said. I've had miscarriages, health issues, bereavements, loss, divorce, raising 3 kids on my own. You name it, it seems to have happened to me. But you know, I can thank God for all these traumas in my life because he saved me out of every one. He's preserved my life, even when I've been suicidal, even when I've had accidents that should have and could have killed me. He's actually moved angels as people to save me, literally. And then they just vanished. These are all stories that I have to tell in future episodes. I've also studied the Bible so that I can show myself approved to talk about it. And I've been to Seattle Bible College, the School of the Supernatural. God called me and supernaturally opened the way to be an evangelist in Kenya. And then from there, I got invited to Tanzania and to Uganda. I grew up in Congo partially because my parents were missionaries there. So I've actually been through 2 wars that held at gunpoint numerous times because we went through 2 revolutions and people were being killed all the time. And actually it was Americans that saved us. They sent in one of those wonderful army helicopters. And that was not a fun ride. Nearly everybody threw up. I was proud as a kid. I was the only one that didn't. But I think that's when I first started loving Americans. And also the missionary women had these wonderful coloured earrings that used to match their dresses. Little round red things that matched the red in their dresses or blue. It was so exotic because we had such nothing. We were so poor. Believe me, Baptist missionaries are amongst the poorest in the world in England. Probably English missionaries. So support them, folks. They're doing a great job. Anyway, I'm here to talk about this Bible that transformed my life. And I'm going to be doing a series of reading through the Bible with Granny Pam, because that's who I am. And I am not a theologian, but I have lived this book and it has never let me down. So here we go. starting with book of Matthew, because that's the first one in the New Testament. I'm going to do the New Testament first. Let me just find Matthew. Here we are. Now, if you turn to it in your Bible, you'll see a genealogy which looks just like a long list of names. And that's what I thought for many years, until reading the stories that these names are, I realized there's a secret message in here. I'm going to read it through, then I'm going to explain the secret message. So we're just going to do the names first, because there's a lot of them. The Gospel according to Matthew. The book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David and the son of Abraham. Woohoo! Those are all Jewish people, the beginning of the Jewish nation. Abraham begot Isaac, Isaac begot Jacob, Jacob begot Judah and his brothers. Now, I have to say, I've always thought that the English names are so boring when they could be the exotic real names of the countries that these came from. Judah begot Perez and Zerah and Tamar. Perez begot Hezron and Hezron begot Ram. Now, I always have a bit of fun with names because we don't really know how to pronounce them because it's not from our language or our country. So one of the things I do is just have fun with it. Roll it off your tongue. Roll those R's. Sound them out. And you know, if you sound confident in saying them, people will believe that you know what you're talking about. So Ram begot Amminadab. Amminadab begot Nahshon. And Nahshon begot Salmon. Sounds a bit like salmon, doesn't it? But it's Salmon. Salmon begot Boaz by Rahab. Boaz begot Obed by Ruth, and Obed begot Jesse. And Jesse was the father of King David. David was the father of Solomon, who had been the wife of Uriah. So that means Bathsheba. That's a whole story in itself. Solomon begot Rehoboam, and Rehoboam begot Abijah, and Abijah begot Asa. Asa begot Jehoshaphat, jumping Jehoshaphat. That's what we used to say as a kid. Jehoshaphat begot Joram, and Joram begot Uzziah. Asa begot Jehoshaphat. Oh, I just read that. Uzziah begot Jotham. Jotham begot Ahaz. Ahaz begot Hezekiah. Hezekiah begot Manasseh. Manasseh got Ammon, or Amon, if you're American, begot Josiah. Josiah begot Jeconiah. Aren't these names wonderful? And his brothers about that time were carried away to Babylon. That means slavery and war, because that's how they were carried away from their homes. And after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconiah begot Shealtiel, and Shealtiel begot Zerubbabel. Don't you just love that? Excuse me, just have to turn that off. Zerubbabel begot Abiud, and Abiud begot Eliakim, and Eliakim begot Azor, and Azor begot Zadok, the priest. Zadok begot Achim, and Achim begot Eliud. Now, isn't this a wonderful list of sounds and names? And don't you wish you could meet those families? Well, we're going to in a few minutes. We're almost through. There's one more verse of names. Eliud begot Eleazar, and Eleazar begot Matan, and Matan begot Jacob. Now, Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called the Christ. So all these generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. And from David until captivity in Babylon are 14 generations. And from captivity in Babylon until Christ are 14 generations. Now, something else that intrigues me in the Bible is the numbers. They can be very significant, and there are definite patterns. So let's go back to this meaning of all these names. Who are these people? Well, Abraham was living with his family when God spoke to him and said, I want you to get up and go to a place that I will tell you. So with faith, great faith, he left his family, didn't know where he was actually going. And he took, his servants and everybody. And basically they wandered that area of the world, but they took the love of God with them. And they met people and they were hospitable and they brought them back to their tents and they cooked stew of lamb and probably goat and lentils and things. And as you do when you talk, you share your faith. So they went around, really, they were the first missionaries. And Genesis 12, this is the great thing, another thing I love about the Bible, is everything links together. You just have to know how to find it. Some people say it's very confusing, but you have to read it with the Spirit of God to understand it, because it's a spiritual book. So this is the Great Commission, go into all the world, right here in Genesis. And the Lord said to Abram, because he hadn't got to Ham yet, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house, to a land I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. And in all the families of the earth, you shall be blessed. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoke to him. And Lot, his brother or cousin, went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he decided to leave Haran. So you're never too old to serve the Lord. And Moses was 80 when he finally got going with leading the Israelites out. So for those of you who think life has passed you by, oh no, because I'm Granny Pam. That's who I am, remember. So God is showing us in this genealogy that everything he does is redemptive. That means he brings it to life. God's so full of life. There's no death in him, no darkness. He just is life. That's why Jesus came back to life. He couldn't stay dead. He's the creator of all things, the source of life. How can you keep life down? You can't. It is life. So that's the beauty of it. Anyway, so everything God does is redemptive. Now, he includes all kinds of people. These aren't all holy people. In fact, probably far from it. These are people who are like you and me, with a history, with a past, who've done wrong. So Isaac and Jacob were brothers who fought like crazy. And in fact, Jacob means twister or grasper, because he came out grasping the heel of his brother Isaac. They were twins. But boy, they were jealous of each other. So you've got family dynamics of favoritism there. You've got quarreling brothers. You've got an inheritance there that is stolen. And who knows, money causes a lot of trouble, doesn't it? So right there at the beginning, you've got a dysfunctional family. And then moving on, we find out that Jacob, who became quite wealthy and full of status as he grew up and got over himself, I guess. He was this head of the household, but he visited prostitutes on business trips. Now, how do we know this? Because later on he gets someone pregnant because she was legally, this is difficult to say without going into the whole story. But in those days, when a husband died, someone like a brother or someone like that was supposed to take them into their family so the name would continue. And Tamar was a daughter-in-law of Jacob, and she had the right to marry a future son, and that didn't happen. So she wanted a child, so she tricked him into sleeping with her as a prostitute on one of these business things. So trips. So, if he didn't visit prostitutes, he wouldn't have stopped by the side of the road to pick up this prostitute, whom he didn't recognize, by the way. So she tricked him into giving him some tokens to show later that she really had slept with him and the baby that was to come really was his. And so she takes his walking stick and some other things too, so she can prove that later. So you see, you have people with difficulties just like you and I. But the thing is, they're still in the lineage of Jesus. He still loves them because they repented. And that's the great thing about God. He's always changing things for the better, working things out, helping us, loving us, correcting us when we do wrong. Boy, do we need correction at times. But that's the beauty of the word. It tells us how to get right and how to put things right. So you've got Solomon and his mum Bathsheba. Well, King David actually lusted after her. He saw her on the roof bathing one night and he wanted her sexually. So he sent for her. And more than that, though, he sent her husband Uriah into battle and sent a message that he had to go in the front lines. So, of course, he would be killed. So he had him killed, basically, murder. See, when you start down the road of sin, it's a slippery road, and it can quite easily, one thing leads to another. And we all know David wasn't a murderer at heart, but it's like at the top of the hill on a sledge. You just gather speed in your sin, so it's best to stop at the beginning or even before. So right there we have adultery. Now we have murder from a man who loved the Lord. He spent his childhood worshipping God and singing songs of worship and praise. He had a beautiful heart. So we have to watch what we do, keep short accounts because we can slip easily. So who else do we have in here? Rahab. She was a prostitute, but she helped the Jewish spies in the land of the giants. So she gets into the lineage of David. See, because when you bless the Jews, God will bless you. And that's the blessing. I will bless those who bless you, that we just read a few minutes ago. I will curse those who curse you. So now we have a prostitute, and well, another one, or a woman acting as one, and then a real one. And then we have other religions in there. Because Ruth was from a different religion. I think she was a Moabitess. I haven't looked that up right now, but she was a different religion. But she was so faithful to her mother-in-law, Naomi, who was a Jewess. She wouldn't leave her. When Naomi's husband died, and Ruth's husband died, and the other sister's husband died, my gosh, all the men in the family died, and in those days, and often today, we need someone to help take care of us. And so Ruth decided to go back to her family in Israel. The other daughter didn't go, so she's not really mentioned. But Ruth said that she would go wherever Naomi went and be faithful. And so God rewarded her. And Boaz was what they call a kinsman redeemer. He was one that was legally allowed to marry her so that she could be protected and provided for, because God always takes care of his people. And then he married her. So that's a good thing. And then we have some really good people. Hezekiah was a good king, and many of them people were good. But I just want you to know that the people that are in here for a reason. They're in here to show you that dysfunctional families can come into Christ, that different religions can come to Christ, that good people and bad people, adulterers and murderers can come to Christ, jealousies, dysfunctional families, did I say that? So, God doesn't care who you are. He just loves you. And he wants to redeem you. All types of people, from all types of places, all types of faith, all ages. He wants to redeem you. So this here, and if you study it more, which you can, just go online and Google it, you'll find all sorts of things. Anyway, that's the end of the first one, and we'll be doing some more. Thank you for listening. God bless you, my lovelies. And I am Granny Pam. That's for sure. I am.